Woohoo! And how about Anthony Davis having fun with Montrezl Harrell's Christmas shoes pregame? James finding Davis early and often. Davis with the finish, 28 points for AD. Later in the first, James in transition again finds Davis once again. Easy bucket. With James's third assist, he joined the Big O. Oscar Robertson is the only players with 100 career assists on Christmas Day. The two were not done. James and Davis had it going on throughout the first half, the dynamic duo combining for 32 points on 12 of 18 shooting from the floor, showcasing their dominance early against Dallas. Less than a minute left in the second, Doncic guarding James. James, too much, hitting that tough J over Luka. 22.7 boards, 10 assists for James. Look at that great shot. James scored or assisted on 31 of the 54 points the Lakers scored with him on the floor. Dennis Schroeder gets it to Kyle Kuzma, who drains the three. The Lakers hit 9 threes in the first half. They had 9 total threes in that season-opening loss. Third quarter, after putting up 11 in the first half, Doncic would put up 12 points in the third. 9 and 19 from the field for the game, 27 points, 7 assists. Just wouldn't be enough, though. Later in the third, Lakers up 14. James doing a little dancing on Doncic. Oh, that's not fair. Expanding the lead. But what about Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell, the new additions on the Lakers, right? Off-season pickups, how would they perform? Well, Schroeder finished with 18 points, 7-11 from the field, 6 assists. And Harrell, 22 points, 10 of 13 from the field, 7 boards. Both those guys helped the Lakers to a 14-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. Lakers were on the glass heavy all throughout this game. Markieff Morris, he'll miss the three, tip it out to Harrell. Kuzma and Harrell work the pick and roll. Kuzma is going to dump it off to Harrell, and he's going to finish inside eventually. And the Lakers go up 101-87. James here misses a three. Morris will keep it alive to Kuzma. Kuzma will find James, and then James would find Morris at the corner for three. Morris, 9.7 boards. Second chance points would hurt the Mavs, obviously, in this one, as the Lakers would outscore the Mavs 35-0 in second chance points.
Wow.
138-115, the final. All Lakers in this one. Here's Anthony Davis after the big win.
The more and more, we get to play with each other, the more we're going to figure things out. But, we went to the film and realized that, we can be a lot better. And we pride ourselves on not losing 2 in a row. We did the same thing last year. We never want to lose 2 games in a row, so we know we're going to come out and get this game. And come out with a lot of energy and effort.
We know what our identity is. Our team know what our identity is. And, the ball is going to be in me and AD's hand for the majority of the time. But we have the ability to be able to defer, to Dennis. And he can run the offense, be able to defer and get the ball to Trez in the low post, and he do his thing. Be able to get the ball to Kuz in his sweet spots as well. So we know who we are, and we want to continue to build off that.
LeBron James continuing to etch his name in the NBA history books, especially on Christmas Day. Friday was his 10th win on the 25th of December, tying his buddy Dwayne Wade for most all time. LeBron's 25 made threes on Christmas, tied with KD for most all time. And his 4 games with 10 assists, fewer only than Oscar Robertson. Dave McMenamin asked LeBron James about that air ball postgame.
You told us that wine was to be part of your rehab process to get that ankle right. Is there any side effect to the wine affecting that free throw in the third quarter, or what happened there?
No, I told you the other night, when I drink, the wine goes from straight down to the left side of my body. Tonight, I shot the free throw with my right hand, so it did not have, it had bad side effects. So I'm going to see if I can drink some wine. If I can shoot it down to the right side of my body, maybe it'll help my free throw, and it'll give me a little bit more strength to where it doesn't hit absolutely nothing. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I need to drink upside down tonight, maybe vampire style. We'll see.
The Lakers in the West.
I do. I think the Mavs are the biggest threat. And they're playing now without Porzingis, but that's because they're being careful. They want him healthy, obviously, this season. And you saw what Porzingis did in the bubble in the playoffs right before he got hurt. He was a monster. He was the crime partner Luka had that Kawhi, frankly, didn't. And by the way, had Porzingis not gotten hurt in that series, I'm very confident the Mavs would have beaten the Clippers. That's right. I picked the Clippers to go all the way. I thought they would have gotten knocked out in the first round. by that Mavs team. And with another year of experience, they should be better. Guys, you know, I always talk about how the two-way wing is the quickest way to a championship when you pair those guys together, Jordan and Pippen or LeBron and Wade. But as the game has evolved increasingly, it's not just the two-way wing. It's the wing who's also the ball-dominant kind of offense organizer like LeBron or Luka. Luka Doncic, I think, is going to win MVP this year. He's already one of the best players in the game. And then Porzingis, as I mentioned, he has a guy, people forget the trajectory of Porzingis' career. Before he got hurt, he, to me, looked like he was evolving into a potential MVP one day. They have two guys like that, and they both perform under pressure. We saw that in these playoffs. And then, guys, look at the supporting cast. Tim Hardaway Jr. actually became a good player. Not just a guy with a name who scores points on a bad team, but an actual player. He hits shots from outside. His defense got better. He can go get a shot if he needs to. Like, he's a player. And Kleba and Dorian Finney-Smith at the forward positions, or especially if Finney-Smith shoots like he did last year, guys, can bomb from the outside and defend. And now they have Josh Richardson. They gave up some shooting in Seth Curry. But the bottom line is Richardson's a better player. That's why he plays more minutes, because he can also really defend and he can hit some shots from the outside. Guys, I really think that this Mavs team, and finally, Stephen A., when you saw that Suns game, what impressed me is without Porzingis, because the Suns were getting after it. Without Porzingis, the Mavs are exceptionally well coached. Carlisle has a deep playbook. No matter what the defense does, the offense has an answer. 2, 3, 4 adjustments, doesn't matter, and everyone's exactly where they need to be. I think the Mavs are going to be the biggest threat.
I respect the Mavs. I recognize the fact that that's possible, but I still believe that the Clippers are going to be the biggest threat to the Los Angeles Lakers. When I think about how highly motivated Kawhi Leonard and Paul George need to be, knowing Ty Lue the way that I do and the buttons that he's going to be able to push, with the acquisition of Serge Ibaka, which I think is an upgrade from Montrezl Harrell. I like Montrezl Harrell a lot. I like his energy. I like his fervor. I like him, coming off the bench and what have you. That was great. But he's not Serge Ibaka, particularly come postseason time and particularly when it comes to being a perimeter threat and a rim protector. The combination of those two elements combined with the fact that Kawhi Leonard, the guy that you had as the best player in the world, at least until the playoffs ended just a few months ago, Max Kellerman, you had him as the best player in the world. I think this dude responds to the challenge because, damn it, he needs to. And as a result, him and Paul George, as formidable as they can be, I think they will be the number one threat to the Los Angeles Lakers because this is it. I don't think if you're the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can't get it done for you this year, they're not going to get it done at all. That's how I view it. And I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Lakers, but I do think that they'll be able to beat anybody else. And I think that that's what this is about. This is going to come down to that confrontation that we were waiting for all of last season. We were waiting desperately for it, and we were going to get it, but the Clippers wet the bed and gave up a 3-1 lead to Denver in the Western Conference semifinals. I don't think something like that is going to happen this year. I think they were devoid of leadership. I think that, again, Ty Lue with a highly motivated Leonard and Paul George, I think they answer the call, and I think they get to the conference finals to meet the Lakers.
Well, Stephen A., it's true. I did have Kawhi as the best player in the world last year until the end of until they got bounced from the playoffs. But you're forgetting one important thing. It's a fluid list. The list is fluid, and it changes depending on stuff,
Good
just
one.
like Stephen's A list. It's a fluid list.
Well, my list is fluid because it's the NFL A list week to week because it's 16 games in the NFL season and week to week. That's it. I didn't think that was applicable to being the best player in the world, but then I forgot I'm talking to you, who had Giannis as the best player in the world the year before that on a Thursday, and by that Monday you had him ranked 5. So I apologize. I should have known. I should have known.
Hey, that's Friday. Hold up. You're just glossing over Friday and Saturday and Sunday? That's 3 days. A lot can change in 3 days.
I'm just saying, how do you spend a year calling a guy the best player in the world and 3 days later, he goes from 1 to 5? I don't understand.
It's called prisoner of the moment.
You can have a bad weekend.
I do it without many problems, to tell you the truth. I do it. I go to sleep at night very comfortably. Stephen A.
Yeah, you do seem very relaxed. You need a cigar and some cocoa.
No question, a little Bing Crosby. I don't think that Kawhi is suddenly the fifth best player in the world. He may be the top under LeBron are tightly packed, but you could argue he's the second best player in the world. My issue is not with Kawhi. And the Game 7 notwithstanding against the Nuggets, Kawhi is an extremely, historically great clutch player. Paul George isn't. Your second banana has to be a guy who performs under pressure. The reason I like the Mavs is I've seen that in Porzingis. There's nothing, he was not going to be stopped. I have not seen that in Paul George.
It ain't just because of his game. It's because he's in Dallas as opposed to L.A. He don't have Anthony Davis. He ain't in the second largest state in the United States of America, second largest market. I'm sorry. He ain't wearing the purple and gold. He doesn't have 17 championships as a backdrop. Okay, he don't have all of that. He's playing for the Dallas Mavericks. And who are the Dallas Mavericks without Luka Doncic? You got an injured Porzingis. You got Dorian Finney-Smith. You got Tim Hardaway. Okay, you got Josh Richardson there now. No disrespect to them because we know that they can play and they're going to be in the playoffs. Very formidable guys, good dudes. And I love me that Tim Hardaway Jr. because I love his daddy. But let me tell you something right now. The bottom line is, without Luka, we ain't paying attention to anything about the Dallas Mavericks but Mark Cuban. And he's on Shark Tank. So the bottom line is Luka is more valuable because he's the one that single-handedly has this entire franchise relevant. That's why we got to go with Luka in this particular situation with this particular question.
Well, a lot of times we say who's more valuable to their team, and we all know one guy is better, and that's LeBron. What we're really asking is who's on the lesser team. But I think it's more than that. When you say who's more valuable to their team, Luka or LeBron, I think LeBron is more valuable to his team. And I'll tell you why, Stephen A. You're right that if you take Luka away from the Mavs, like he gets them closer to a title, right? Or to the playoffs, or to winning a playoff series by himself, maybe, you could argue, because there's less around him. Although when Porzingis gets back, that'll change too. But I think there's something bigger than that. The question is, who gets you to the championship, to the promised land? If you put Luka on the Lakers and took LeBron off, I don't know that we'd all be saying, yes, the Lakers are definitely going to win the championship. But if you put LeBron on the Mavs and gave him Porzingis, maybe they would be title favorites. This comes down to the LeBron. It happens in the LeBron-Jordan debate, too. I think LeBron by himself gets a team closer to a title than Jordan by himself. But if you give Jordan something and you give LeBron something, yeah, right. But if you give them both stuff, Jordan will take you there every single time, right? That's who LeBron is in this NBA. He's the Jordan of this NBA. Whenever LeBron has a reasonable chance to win the title, he either does or gets very close. He goes 6 games with Dellavedova as his second best player. He beats the 73-win Warriors team. If you add KD to the Warriors, nothing he can do or anyone can do. But LeBron gives you that premium over everyone else, including the Lakers, that Luka just doesn't give you. LeBron goes to the Mavs, you think maybe they could win it this year. Luka goes to the Lakers, suddenly you're like, ooh, a lot of teams in the West can compete. That premium, not just being great, not just doing more with less, but when you have something, turning it into championships, makes LeBron the most valuable to his team.
Well, I definitely hear where you're coming from, and I'm glad that you came to the party, albeit a bit too late, when you're recognizing LeBron as the best in the world and his extreme value. But let's take into consideration the specificity of the question that we're addressing here, Max Kellerman. The fact of the matter is, when we talk about Luka, we ain't just talking about basketball. When we talk about LeBron and Luka, we ain't just talking about basketball. Luka's an international icon right now. Luka ain't from the United States of America. He is an international icon, which is why Mark Cuban just brought up his cachet with social media. Because the bottom line is, when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, this guy has got them on the map. You realize how much money Luka is making for the Dallas Mavs franchise? Listen, I don't care whether it's Lithuania, Serbia, Morocco, I don't give a damn where it's from. Everybody across the world knows something or two about the Mavs jersey right now and the Mavs franchise. All because of Luka. So let's take that into consideration, along with him being 21 years of age, along with him being white. Let's bring that up too. The brother's got a lot of cachet, and I'm talking about overall value. I'm looking at him right now, and I'm saying This kid right here is something special, and we can't ignore that.
Well, I just looked up Luka while you were talking on Twitter. He has 1.1 million followers. LeBron has 48.5 million. I don't think we want to play.
That's right. That's true.
I don't think we want to play the social media game with LeBron. He's a beast.
We know.
But I'll say this: it's not a
Yeah.
knock against Luka. Luka at 21, 20, like it's ridiculous the kind of stuff he's doing at his age. He's almost on pace with LeBron. But LeBron, by the way, when I said Kawhi is the best, that's not the first time I thought LeBron was no longer the best, and I was mistaken. It's happened 3 times. Steph Curry, when he won the MVP and the team looked invincible, I thought LeBron's better, but in this NBA, Steph is better because he can shoot
and then
from 3.
Giannis.
I thought that with Giannis.
And then Giannis.
I thought that with Kawhi.
And then Kawhi.
No doubt. And the remarkable thing about LeBron is whenever it looks like there's a contender to his throne and events conspire to make you think, well, he's had it. He's getting older. This dude is on the come up. He took it over. He beat back those challenges.
Max?
Steph, Giannis, and Kawhi. It's the reason he's next to Jordan all time.
First Take fans everywhere, Max Kellerman knows that you are a huge baseball fan. Ain't that correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Since you're a huge baseball fan, 3 strikes and you're out. Steph, Giannis, Kawhi. Done.
Oh,
You're
my
out.
goodness. Stephen
Well, that's
A.,
right.
I'm going to be honest with you.
LeBron's demise. That's true.
I feel like you can't see me right now. There I am. But Stephen A.'s Christmas morning just started at around 11 o'clock. He officially woke up. Southern Steve. I know you're a late night kind of guy, but thank you for joining the party. Merry Christmas, Southern Steve. It's good to have you with us.
Became that kind of guy over the course of his career. So I don't really compare them at all.
Mark, always welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the show. When you look at your team right now, obviously you won a title. You won a title in 2011. Haven't been back since. But how are you feeling about your team now, particularly after you witnessed what you witnessed in the bubble? What do you think about this team now as a title contender? Your team.
Well, there's the team with KP and there's the team without. We're obviously a different team without the unicorn. We expect him back in the next couple of weeks. And so if everything goes according to plan, and, having KP, he's always open and he can make shots from anywhere in the court. He's a defensive impact all the time. And so that really changes things for us. Until then, we're going to have to work through some rotational issues. We found that out the other night. But it's just going to be different. This is still kind of preseason for all teams, working through rotations, guys getting used to each other, guys getting their wind back. And so, it's going to be a little bit different, but I'm confident in this team. I really like what we have. We've added a lot of defensive attitude with James Johnson and with Jay Rich. There's just so many different things we can do. We like our rookies, Tyrell Terry, Josh Green, Nate Hinton. We've got a lot of really good pieces. And, of course, our guys that are coming back alongside Luka, Timmy Hardaway, et cetera, that can play. There's a lot to be excited about for Mavs fans.
I agree, Mark. I think the Mavs were my sleeper pick even last year, and I like you to get to the Western Conference Finals if Porzingis can stay healthy for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned, not to mention Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber, who can post bomb now from the outside and play defense.
Yep.
But also because what I saw in Game 1 against Phoenix, who was getting after it defensively, and you don't have Porzingis, was a very well-coached team on offense especially. Something broke down, it didn't matter. A play was stopped, they regroup immediately. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. That's a deep playbook and a well-coached team. What are your expectations for Rick Carlisle and your squad? What is a successful season? What's an unsuccessful season?
Going into the playoffs, go deep into the playoffs is a successful season. Everything else doesn't matter. We do have a great coach. We got a great players. You mentioned Maxi Kleber, the most underrated defensive player in the NBA. People don't realize what a great defender he is. His three-point shot keeps improving. Just tell him. He'll say, call me. He wants you to know that he can play. Dorian Finney-Smith we do this thing. We track internal analytics, things during practice and everything. Dodo, his shots selection, his ability to make threes just keeps on improving every single year. So we expect him to get even better. We've got all the tools. We've got a great coach. We've got Luka, who makes everybody better. KP, I'm completely confident he'll stay healthy. The sky's the limit for this team. I can't understate, I can't overstate rather how excited I am for these guys.
Mark Cuban, let me take it off the court for a little bit because you're more qualified than most to answer this question. I know that you're incredibly excited about your team. You're incredibly excited about this season. And obviously, you were actively involved with a lot of stuff that was going on in the offseason, last season, not just with COVID, but with social justice issues. And I applaud you for all of that. My question to you would be this. As successful as the NBA was in the bubble with no positive tests, just recently, we had a game postponed, obviously, in Houston with Harden and those boys because of COVID, potential positive tests and things of that nature. I want to know, how concerned are you about this season now that there is no bubble? Everybody's going to be in their respective city. You're still going to be traveling to games and things of that nature. Are you concerned at all about this season going forward uninterrupted?
Yes, of course. We've already lost a game. This is a maturity test for all 450 players in the NBA. And plus the two-way players. This is the chance for guys really to make mistakes outside the bubble, and it's going to happen. We've already seen it happen. One of the reasons I'm traveling with our team on Christmas Day is to show them, that this is important to me, that we need to all be very vigilant. We can't be going out because we're in LA or we're Dallas or wherever. We've got to make sure we're getting tested. We're filling out the questionnaire every morning. We're watching out for each other. And that doesn't mean, keeping an eye on each other, but supporting each other. I have this saying that I've had for 20 years. You can have one knucklehead on the team, but you can't have two, because the two knuckleheads hang out together and cause problems for everybody else. This year, that's amplified even more. You can't even have one knucklehead, because if that one knucklehead goes out and doesn't report or doesn't do what they're supposed to, that can infect an entire team and take down, a good part of your season. Because if you get sick, if somebody gets sick, who knows what the consequences are, not just administratively with the NBA, but health-wise, which is far more important. So being vigilant about that, making the guys understand how important this is and what's at stake. That's one of the reasons I'm here on Christmas Day, to show my support, to be there with them, to be at the team meals, to let them see me, to be sitting alone even at the games, to show them that, this is not typical. There's going to be mistakes. We've already seen them. And part of my job is to reduce the mistakes here at the Mavs and hopefully set an example for the entire NBA that it can be done.
Well, you're certainly setting the tone. I kind of want to stay with that subject, because one of the dominant storylines of late has been James Harden and his tenuous relationship with the Rockets. Mark, if you were in charge of that team, how would you handle the situation moving forward?
I don't want to speak for another owner or another organization. We've had issues in our team, and every team goes through something. And players have to make their own decisions about what's best for them. I just try to keep my relationships with our players as strong as possible, so that in the event they want change, we can handle it privately and deal with it privately. I mean, I've certainly had players request and even demand trades over the past 20 years, and we've just dealt with it. We've tried not to make it public. And there's, I don't want to speak for another owner or player or organization. It's never an easy set of circumstances.
Mark, don't you feel that you owe the people of New York an apology? After all, they knew it was an incredibly bad idea to trade Kristaps Porzingis, and you took advantage of a completely inept franchise. How dare you? Don't you owe the people of New York an apology, the many Knicks fans who you robbed of Kristaps Porzingis?
Merry Christmas, Max. It's a beautiful
Dallas
day.
Fans.
It's a beautiful day for basketball. We're going to have all these games. Tune in on ESPN. I mean, what's better on Christmas Day? Open your presents and spend a whole day watching basketball. That's my thank you to New York, Dallas, LA, Miami, Chicago, all NBA cities.
Mark, as crazy as this question may sound, I'm going to ask it. As crazy as this question may sound, Mark, I'm going to ask it anyway, because I know that obviously with the Greek Freak electing to stay in Milwaukee, you got a guy that committed to stay into a smaller market. We see how, the league pays attention, all that stuff. The league definitely endorses such a thing. But it just seems to be something extra special when you got a Los Angeles Lakers squad as an NBA champion right now. It seems to be a great, great thing for the NBA. Could you talk about where you